Hello, 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 people. Welcome back to an episode of the USL Show. After a nice little Turkey Day vacation, we are finally back, and there's two Johns, a frozen John and a real John. If you're audio only, this is really confusing for you, but this is something. John, real John, how are you?
I'm doing well. My browser crashed right when you hit the intro button, so we're working through it. But yeah.
I mean, what a time to be alive. Ryan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, and I'd just like to say at the start of the episode, I too will not be considering the Penn State head coaching job.
You know who's a free agent coach in Pennsylvania right now? Come on down, Roberts. Lily Ball is coming to College Station? No. Yeah.
Happy Valley.
Happy Valley.
College Station is A&M. Yeah.
Yeah, College Station's A&M. Whatever. It's fine. Oh, Phil. Hi. Hello. You're right in. You're just instantly in here. Nope, not on.
Yeah, or he's got a muted mic. Same thing.
No, it still doesn't work.
No way. Okay, I'm in.
There it is.
Simply no way.
There we go.
Hi. This is when I am logged into the producer account still. So this is on you guys ultimately. But no, I am doing well, and sorry to be running a few minutes late. I have a psychotic 3-year-old, and it is just the nature of the beast at the moment. But excited to chat.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the chatting. But before we do that, we got to thank Doug Brooks. Doug Brooks is our newest patron. So thank you, Doug Brooks, and Stephen Howard, John's landlord, Don Garber, David Horn, Josh, Dylan Reed, William Lamb, Sandy Lester, Ryan Smelter, Matt Capeel, Andrew Towsley, all of the Hedgehog, Kunal Patel, MOS, NF Reg 30, Tim Knox, Rion Lacara, Jeremy Churchman, Alberto Aguilar, Noah Telford, Michael Fuchs, John Fuller, Christopher Cohn, and Frank Anthony and John Hunt. Thank you guys so much for supporting everything that we do. I'm just being able to go out and experience things, could not do without you. So we do greatly appreciate it. So let's go ahead and hit some news before we recap the USL Championship Final and then get into the best 11. The news that kind of dropped today is that Fort Lauderdale United is going to be arriving, allegedly, in spring of 2027. And then Alex Ashton also put out there on Blue Sky and possibly Twitter as well that Sporting Cascades is expected to make a similar announcement very shortly, which had been going around a little bit anyway. Guys, what do you think about these teams pushing off for yet another year?
I think there's no point to rushing it if you don't think you can do it right. That first season, as we've seen in places like Portland or we're going to see in Boise, can be a real momentum builder for everything you want to do as a club. If you feel like you don't have really any aspect of it that is up to par, whether it's the marketing, the stadium, what you think is going to happen on the field, I don't think there's any shame in pushing back. Given how the USL is trying to grow over the next couple of years, part of it is that World Cup moment in 2026, but it's the Olympics, it's Pro-Rel, it's D1. There are a lot of jumping on points over the next 3 to 4 seasons. So if Fort Lauderdale and Cascades want to say, cool, pushing it a year, and in Fort Lauderdale's case, we know that they're doing it in the Super League, getting experience every single day. Yes, it's probably not a great look to say, here's XYZ club delaying again and again. But yeah, I'm here for solidity as long as these clubs can really do something that matters to make sure they exist in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just essentially echo John. It's just like, yes, I think it is a lesson maybe in some of the, like, we've talked about how the USL loves announcing things, and I think it's okay to announce things. And it's also okay to build in some buffer to where you don't have to make it happen overnight. Like we've seen we've seen both sides of the coin of like Texoma and Westchester probably like rushed into ops and to varying degrees of success, all of that stuff. Meanwhile, we have these other projects like, I mean, Santa Barbara Sky, like where like, will they ever be a thing? Who knows? Like, it's just, I think at the end of the day, you have to, they need to start balancing like the penchant for announcing things with the penchant for, or with some kind of like understanding of how they're going to make it real. And it's okay to announce it as something that's going to happen far in the future. And if you have to move it up, that's a much better look than having to move it back. So like, I think they just need to get a little bit more conservative in their estimates here.
Yeah, and especially with the league wanting to go to D1 and adding in Pro Rel, like you would have Fort Lauderdale United joining into League One, but like having Pro Rel would be kind of meaning that a lot of the teams in both leagues should be fit for a D1 standard. And if you're having teams still playing on a baseball diamond or not having a full kind of ops capabilities when they enter the league, it's not an overall good look. So yeah, definitely echoing what everyone else is just saying, that it's better to just make sure you have all of your ducks in a row before you try and make it work.
I think my biggest issue I have is that in order to feel like you're not the league that just loves to announce things, you have to put a date on it. So, you know, that way it feels real. But also, if you announce back in 2023, hey, we're going to open up doors in 2028, it's like, okay, so that was pointless. So you're trying to sell people on this is a real project while also not seeming like you just like are pushing it way down the road. It's a hard balance for the league, but I don't know. It just once again feels like A, teams like to announce things. B, it's just another instance of a team pushing off their joining end date. And I think this is more egregious on the Fort Lauderdale side because it's not like they have never ran operations before. Granted, Cascades is taking over Lane United, so that's League 2, but not the same as the Super League, for example. Like, they know what it's like to run a program, and this feels more like we're pushing it off to Pro Rel, to Division 1, seeing if we can get our hat into the ring championship or Division 1 and not League 1. Because if they were content with League 1, I think they would have already done it. Because where they play now for Fort Lauderdale United Super League team fits League 1 standards. So it's not like they can't do it.
Yeah, an interesting comment of should the league be looking for firmer commitments from clubs at the championship level and then provide more breathing room down the pyramid? I almost lean no. Like, I think you want consistency across the board, and I don't think it should be that much to ask. Set a realistic goal, come in with a legitimate business plan, and there shouldn't be these issues in the first place. And I think there is a question of what does the vetting process look like? It's a discussion we've had pretty much every time a team is folded, really, of what was the idea when they were admitted to the league? How has that been borne out in practice? But if you put a date out there and you can't commit to it, I think that just reflects poorly on everybody. And that shouldn't change depending on second, third division, first in the future, anything like that.
Any other final thoughts on this one? All right. Well, I want to go ahead, throw it out to, I guess, 2 weeks ago now, about 10 days ago, where the Pittsburgh Riverhounds were crowned USL playoff champions as they took down FC Tulsa in penalties, 0-0. Eric Dick makes a massive save against, oh my gosh, what's his name?
Stefan Lukic.
Lukic, thank you. I almost called him Stefanovic, and I was like, that's not right. And I was combining names. Stefan Lukic. And that was that, really. And it ends up winning in penalties. There's a whole lot of discussion that goes around this. I want to start off with Ryan and Phil, though, because you guys watched on TV. What did it come across as to you guys of like watching the match live or watching a replay? Like, what was your experience like?
Well, it was certainly enhanced by Phil's live stream of the match as well. That was like an A+ commentary, and just being able to just kind of follow along. Like I had it on my CBS feed, and then Phil was a minute delayed on the stream. So like seeing it and then like seeing his reaction after that was just so excellent.
I've never felt Mike Watt's pain more than having to, in a record number of aerial claims in the box, Eric Dick, like doubling his season average, the amount of times I had to try, I won't even say I tried to avoid it. I leaned into the innuendos on the stream, so hopefully I didn't send the show into disrepute. But yeah, it was no, it was a lot of fun. I think the final itself, for being a 0-0, I would say the first half in particular was one of the most like entertaining halves of soccer I've watched as a neutral all season of any sort. Like it was completely on a knife edge. Like it was whiskers away from breaking one way or the other. Both teams having chances. Both, it was just like end to end. It was amazing. And I would say the final sort of settled in the second half, in that like that sort of frenetic energy from the first half didn't carry through, and as it carried into extra time, it maybe felt like lower energy than where it started. That being said, I really feel for Tulsa, because when you watch it with like without any sort of emotion around it, it's like they had the chances, right? Like they were there. And in particular, there was the one moment I think where Eric Dick sort of he like fumbled across on the one corner, and it fell to Ian, I think. And he just hooks it, he like shins it over the bar. And it was one of those moments where you're just like, like that is like one of those where you're, of 8 aerial claims, Eric Dick messes one up, and you would have thought like narrative wise simple in that like, he was basically perfect. The one mistake he makes all game gets punished, but it doesn't. And that essentially was the match. Like it ended up being like Tulsa just couldn't convert the certain chances that they did have. And yeah, it's very unlucky to go to a lottery like penalties in a situation like that, but Pittsburgh just have nerves of steel in that situation. And you have to, I would say also pour one out for Tyler Derrick, because he guessed right on 4 out of 5 and just couldn't quite get to one on the penalty shootout. So yeah, them's the breaks for Tulsa. And Pittsburgh in a playoff where they, didn't exactly wow in terms of they scored 1 goal the entire playoffs. They did enough. And while, there's maybe format questions that like in a format that allows that sort of thing to happen, I think the reality is that this Pittsburgh team just had a bit of a destiny marker on them. And with all of the stuff that went on mid-season with them, I don't begrudge them winning the final at all.
Yeah, and as the comment section is saying that we've had both finalists, like neither one conceded a goal in the entire playoff. Like that's like hard to ask for more from both defenses. Like that's the first time that we ever had a 0-0 in a USL Championship Final and in a USL 1 final that we've never had a 0-0 either. So this was already a first for the league. And like even looking back through USL 2, like it was Des Moines Menace in 2021 where they conceded 1 goal the entire playoff run for their championship. So this is already something that has broken at least new ground in terms of just results wise for the championship. And I do echo Phil in saying that, yeah, maybe you ask a little bit of the questions on the format, if it was the most fair to have Pittsburgh get there, but they did what was asked of them. You can only beat the teams in front of you. And they Eric Dick stood tall in the penalty shootout, and Riverhounds get their first cup in league history or in club history.
Yeah, and I know Kaylor and I are going to get into the environment and the experience we had. I do want to start by just saying that I think Pittsburgh has got a little bit too much flack for the defensive nature of their game, mainly because it wasn't for lack of trying, at least through the Eastern Conference portion of things. They were constantly in the final third, constantly probing the box. If Augie Williams hits a couple balls a different way, we would be talking about a completely different narrative in terms of the style of soccer this team played, because it wasn't just pure lily ball. There was a real attacking-minded, territorially dominant aspect to the way that Rob Vincent set that team up. And it's a credit to them that they adapted in the context of going to Tulsa and getting the job done. That was a little bit closer to what we had come to expect from this Pittsburgh organization. It was a lot of long passes, less of that focus on trying to interchange and flow through the final third. Obviously, the reliance on Eric Dick, but the defense around him staying compact, just being willing to sit in that back five and make it difficult for someone like a Taylor Calhera to find the space that he's usually so good at picking out. That to me speaks to the sophistication of what Pittsburgh was doing. They could shapeshift a little bit without ever giving up the principles that made them so good. And I think that showed throughout the playoff run and especially in the final.
Yeah, there's a lot to go over with this one. And I saw, looking through the live chat that we had, looking through Blue Sky, looking through Twitter, looking through Reddit, of just kind of reactions to the match. And there was a lot of people who said it was really boring, like it was a boring 0-0 match. Genuinely, in the stadium, it was really exciting. Every single cross that was attempted, every single time, you felt the entire stadium hold their breath, because there was a couple of moments. There was the first half with a long throw that gets flicked on, and I think it was Calera maybe heads it towards goal, and Eric Dick barely tips it over the bar. Everybody knows that it just takes one clean header, and that match was 1-0 Tulsa. There were so many block crosses, and everybody in the stadium held their breath on every single attempt. There was several moments in that match where Tulsa's press was suffocating until it got to the 18-yard box. And that's where Pittsburgh just shut down shop. And that was really fun to be a part of, because everybody also knew, like Khalil Medkar, all it took was one moment where his dribble breaks free and he was through one-on-one on goal. John, you mentioned if Augie Williams doesn't shin a ball 6 inches right of the post, it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. If I believe it was Biasi, if Biasi does not hit the absolute top corner of the woodwork, it's an absolute accidental banger of a goal to make it 1-0 Pittsburgh. There were a lot of moments that were exciting that if you just look at the score line, it's just not there. It was a genuinely exciting match.
And Phil mentioned, like, the first half of this game was end to end. Both teams getting out on the break, probing into each other's box. What more can you ask for? And frankly, the end of the game as well. When Tulsa gets Lukic on, they're shaking up the front line. And especially in the stadium, you could feel the Tulsa supporters locking in and really being loud at those chances. I mean, added time, home team going at it in a final. To me, that's a great product. And anyone who didn't appreciate that, I don't know. I'm not here for it.
They were scrolling like they weren't watching the game. If they honestly think that. I also, like, the thing that people want out of championship games, and I would say this probably goes across sports, is like you want that final game to have fine margins. There's nothing worse than a championship game in which it's just a complete mismatch, or one team gets it right, one team gets it wrong, and it's a total blowout and nobody like ever speaks of it again, right? It's just it's lost completely. The thing about this game that was so compelling was that the margins were, like you discussed, Gaylor, like the margins were so fine. We were, a thick coat of paint away from a Biasi like incidental banger. We were, Eric Dick like Perry away from a Khalil Ahmedkar opener. Like there's just so many different potential narratives. And it was, Pittsburgh players like throwing themselves in front of the ball, and Tulsa's defense, like Lamar Batista was like absolutely everywhere, and just all of this stuff. What we want out of championships is that the margins are fine. And in the end, this came down to literally the finest possible margin, which is a 1-goal win on penalty kicks. Like that is like literally the finest margin that is possible in a championship game. And after such a long season in which there's so many teams that were worthy of a spot like this, for Tulsa and Pittsburgh to use it in this way, like I think it's just a credit. Like they did credit to the league. Because the championship was played at such a high level and such fine margins.
Yeah, and you mentioned fine margins. Sorry, Ryan. I also, you mentioned it earlier where Tyler Derrick guesses right on all 4 penalties. The only one he doesn't is the very last one. Fine margins. I'm blanking on who took the 3rd penalty. It wasn't Jackson. He opened it up, but the 3rd penalty taken, banging in off the bottom of the crossbar. Talk about holding your nerve. Just another ½ inch of scooping under that ball anymore. We're even through 3 penalties. That's how close that penalty shootout was too.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at just at least a historical record, I mean, just think back to last season. It is one of the largest margin of victories in the final since 2016, with Colorado Springs beating Rhode Island 3-0. Like the league went from 2011 to 2022 having just 1 penalty shootout, and now from 2023 to 2025, we've had 2 penalty shootouts in the final in the last 3 years.
Yeah, and that Charleston Phoenix one was a classic with Cuello Panenka, or a failed attempt therein. But yeah, that's what you want out of a final. Like that's a moment you remember, and it's only because the game is tightly run. I mean, credit to Colorado Springs for doing what they did last year, but it was a more boring game.
Chase Boone, by the way, is who I was thinking of.
I just looked it up too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things to kind of talk about when it comes to the match and atmosphere itself. We put together a small like travel vlog on that. So that if you want to kind of see and relive that, that's in there. I kind of want
really well done, by the way. I wanted to say, Kaylor, and not to like gas ourselves up, but the shots you got like during the game, and particularly on the final penalty, like, and the celebrations and all that stuff, like absolutely incredible. And I think like underrated. I would, just in terms of overall virality, like you were right in the thick of things, which was awesome. And just credit to you for being right where you needed to be to get all those shots.
I appreciate that. It was a ton of fun. And the one thing that I think that needs to get brought up a lot in this, the amount of people that it took to put on that production that we saw there was insanity. Anybody that was ever there was there. Me and John, you can talk about her a lot better than I can. Big shout out to Candace Brenner. She's just the best ever. So if someone from FC Tulsa is listening to this, just give her a raise, please. Like, she's literally the best. John, you were in there with her and Trey Higdon for the entire match. So that was a blast.
Longtime friend of the show, dare I say, Trey Higdon, finally getting to meet that guy in the flesh. I mean, I was sitting like 2 inches away from Devin Kerr, who was calling the game, which was kind of like surreal to think about. Like, Kaylor's on the field sniping all that awesome footage, and I'm like, Mike Watts is over there, and I can see him and like look at him in the eye as he's calling the game. Just weird to think about, given that like I'm some podcast nerd and he's Mike Watts. But yeah, everybody at Tulsa could not have been nicer to us. When Kaylor and I walked into the stadium, we had a nice conversation with Caleb Sewell, who did not have to take the time to talk to us on the day where the team he built is contesting a final. we gotta talk to Tyler Tetzlaff from the league. I hung out with Nicholas Murray the day before and went to the Black Wall Street Museum. Just everything about the community aspect of the USL was really on show. And Tulsa did a terrific job making it feel like an event. You could tell with the fans there, and again, talking to Candace, who kind of runs the comms and game day entertainment focus, they wanted this to be something that was meaningful for the people who are diehard and there on opening day, but equally impactful for somebody who was just showing up because it was the playoff final. And to me, at least, biased, I feel like Tulsa did a tremendous job making it happen. That's a credit to them. That's a credit to the league. And hopefully it is the start of continued good things for that soccer community.
And shout out to the Pittsburgh fans who made the very long bus journey to Tulsa for the match as well.
Talking to some of them pregame, awesome people, and they could not have been louder. Like, I don't know if it was reflected on the broadcast, but they were the loudest people in the stadium for the full 120. Yeah, so the Riverhound supporters were a boon for that team on the field.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And like, I think there's a couple things that happened that got really big coverage, and I do think they're worth talking about. The pro rel, more like let's get pro standards first. That was the shirt worn coming out of the tunnel. That was the warm-up shirt. Ends up being having signs that that they held up during halftime. That was a moment. And then the trophy lift ceremony did not happen at the end of the game. That was a moment discussed. We had some, John, you and I had some conversations with Connor Tobin, who is the USLPA president. And, you know, he told us, he didn't tell us what was coming. He said there was stuff coming for this match. He did not let us know what, but he did kind of tell us be on the lookout. And the shirts were on display. The signs were on display. The NFLPA stood in solidarity. The MLB PA stood in solidarity. MLS, every PA that you have ever seen put out a post. They were involved. They made it as big of a moment for the Players Association as they could. And then it leads to the final. It leads to the trophy lift, where they're saying that they did not get a trophy lift because of the shirts. Now, there's the other side of the conversation, which was they want to get a trophy lift on CBS. They did not have enough time to get together the stage, the fireworks, the confetti, and get it on CBS at the same time, which I can tell you from being in the middle of the scrum, they were ripping Danny Griffin away from the celebration as quick as possible to give him the trophy. They were pulling people away as soon as they started celebrating, and you could hear them saying, we have to do this now. We have to do this now. Like, where's Danny? We need Danny. We got to do this now. So on that side of things, that seems like it's adding up to me. But if you're the USL, you can do 2 trophy lifts. You can do the one in front of the fans and then do a second one. That's the proper thing. And you don't get this side where the PA has more leverage against you. And it's just a bad look. I don't think the USL did this out of maliciousness. I got to be honest with you. I really don't. I think they did it just as an oversight. You know, don't put malice where there's incompetence, and that just feels like an incompetent moment.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there. And I will say I spoke to league ops people on a completely separate topic. And then this came up of, like, the league forewarned both clubs that if this game goes to penalties, we are not going to have the time to do the full thing on CBS. So it is going to be truncated and going to be rushed. And yeah, that was a mistake, but it also feeds into the broader narrative of what the players wanted. And in terms of the Players Association, that is, out of this final, which is we've got the biggest platform that the USL is going to have all year. At every single stage of that, we are going to try to get our message out heading into this final stretch of CBA negotiations. And these players are media savvy. They got some traction with the other things, but it is this claim about the trophy presentation that has really made hay online and gotten people's eyeballs. I'm not here to adjudicate whether it was punitive or not, but it was certainly kind of a masterclass in trying to get the message out there from the PA. And as a podcast that is sympathetic to what the players want, I think that's probably a good thing. And hopefully it's a lesson for the USL of, we understand what you're trying to do. We know the TV deal is important. At some point, the actual experience for the people there is equally relevant.
And I think it's fair that the league is saying, hey, we wanted some sort of trophy presentation on CBS and that it would be truncated if it went to penalties because we only have until a certain amount. And God knows, CBS couldn't wait to cut the broadcast so that they could jump over to college football. That being said, if you know that that is a likely outcome, having a plan around what a truncated trophy presentation looks like versus someone with the trophy just handing it, what was shown on TV was, and I don't know exactly who from the league was holding the trophy. I'm not remembering exactly, but they're holding the trophy and it's a sort of ad hoc moment where Danny Griffin is just there and they're like, hey, here you go. I think the league could have put more thought into, okay, what does the shortened version of this look like? And if the thing is oh, well, the celebrations got too crazy and we couldn't organize it and stuff like that, it's that's not an excuse. There could have been conversations pre-match of, hey, this is what it looks like if we get to penalties. And this is what it looks like if we have the time to set up the stage and all that sort of stuff. You have to be able to control the situation enough to not make it look like it was completely an afterthought. Because the league must have thought, okay, it is not only between these two teams who haven't allowed a goal the entire postseason, not only is it a possibility that they go to penalties, it is a likelihood that they go to penalties. And we need to have an actual plan, if they do, for what that looks like, if we're going to do too. Now, the fact that they didn't then set up the stage and do the full trophy presentation off camera, to me is that's crazy. Because Vermont got a trophy presentation for League Two that. And that's not to denigrate anything that Vermont has done.
Same with
Utah has done.
United with W League.
Yeah, these are semi-pro leagues, and this is your premier product. The hype video and everything from Vermont's title win was one of the best pieces of content that's been put out by USL this year, maybe the best. And the idea that there is simply not a version of that can exist, because they didn't then set up for their top division, their title game did not get it because of the time slot on CBS is it's kind of, to borrow a phrase from the English, tin pot, in that it's just not serious. It just doesn't feel, again, and it sort of feeds into what the players have been saying, which is we want you guys to be professional before we start talking about these big ambitions. And this is the sort of thing where it just further suggests that USL has a gap to make up to being a serious league before they can be taken seriously as potential D1 and all this other stuff that they have on their agenda.
And if they're worried about the post game bumping up into when they have that hard set that we have to cut away from this, truncate the pregame stuff, even just by a few minutes to try and build in enough buffer at the end of the game there. But the fact that they had the stage, they had all the materials probably already on hand in Tulsa, had it ready to go in storage, and they just didn't bring it out is just really lackluster.
I can confirm it was there. It was actually in the dugout where I did my halftime join in. So I was standing right beside the stuff. So it was in there. Really quick, thank you for the super chat, William Lamb. Does the CBA of USL closely resemble or are pretty different than the CBA of MLS. John, you already answered this in chat, but because MLS is single entity structure, it's very unique language. However, the things that they're asking for is not dissimilar. So the requests are similar, although what is in the current CBA is like very bare bones of what MLS is now. Meanwhile, what they are asking for right now is kind of like first or second CBA for MLS. That's like what they are currently asking for around those lines. So it's similar request, but very unique language. So it's interesting in that way.
Yeah, it's MLS is weird because of the way the league is set up. In writing about the negotiation a bit, it's the USL players are kind of seeking something akin to the NWSL, not in terms of total salaries and salary caps and all that, but the way that it's structured in terms of housing and insurance and relocation benefits and that sort of thing. So I think that's probably a more useful way to think about it, just because the NWSL structurally in the way the league is set up is just more similar.
Yep.
And
go ahead.
Just on the CBA, I do just want to say that, like, I know that there's like negotiations and sort of hardball and all this different stuff like being played by the league to a certain extent because they want to get the best possible terms for themselves and like allow their owners to like get, you know, as most favorable terms possible within the CBA. And I just want to say on record, I tweeted something similar from Seriously Loco earlier, like USL does not have the, like, you don't have the facilities for a lockout, big man. Like that's the, like, we all love this league. We love this collection of teams. We love like the players involved with this. We love all of the folks that work around the league and work extremely hard to make this all come together. And if you take a season off because you don't want to do like pay for health insurance or like a housing allowance or whatever, people are gonna stop giving a shit, pardon my French, about you. And I like Major League Baseball was almost killed by a work stoppage in the 90s. Like, you are not Major League Baseball. For all of the love that we have for this league, like, you are not Major League Baseball. And so you just sign the damn thing. Like, just like, because a work stoppage is not, you're not going to come out of this stronger like the other side. MLS Next Pro exists. The possibility for consolidation of the lower leagues underneath MLS is a very real possibility, and they have a CBA. So, like, just don't leave the door open. That's all I'm saying. Like, don't like, there's too much out there, and you don't have the vitamins like to like pull this off. Sorry, I just like, it's just not, I don't know. The fact that it's even a possibility that's like on the table right now is like baffling to me, because there's just like, you're not coming out of this better for it. Like there's no way in which a work stoppage improves USL.
Yeah. There's a lot we can get into with CBA, and I'm sure over the coming weeks we're going to have a lot of those conversations still. Hopefully not. I would love to not have this conversation ever again personally. Just sign it. Ryan, early you mentioned Des Moines Menace in that 2021 roster that only allowed one goal through the League Two playoffs, which is basically March Madness. I just want to read a couple names if you guys want to indulge me for a half second.
Names, guys. Yeah.
Lucas Borner, player. Tyler David was around. Daniel Fernandez was in there. Silver Ogley, who just won League One. They also had Moses Mensah, who has played with Legion for a while, Chandler O'Dwyer, who's with the Richmond Kickers, and Jordan Skelton, the reigning USL defender, League One Defender of the Year. So
Oakley and Skelton played together for the Menace? That rocks.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, don't forget that the Menace was coached by Mark McKeever,
Sure.
who went to
Oh,
one
duh.
Knox, who brought them up to League One.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, not too bad having some of the best defenders that the league has to offer in your League Two squad.
And that's a good segue into our combined best 11 if we're going to do League One and Championship, because you would put a Skelter in at center back.
Yeah, we got Skelton, who was named to the first team All League. I'm just kind of throwing up the All League teams up onto the screen so people who haven't seen them yet can indeed see them. Some hot takes. Some people were not happy about some picks, especially on the championship side, but we can right some wrongs if need be. But I want to first go to our halfway best 11. And this is our combined best 11 where we went with essentially a 4-3-3 where we had Carlos Marinaccio in goal, Jordan Skelton and Lamar Batista as center backs, and our fullbacks were Derek Waldeck and Keegan Tingy, Hope Avievu, Taylor Davila, and Chris Heckenberg were our midfield. Abdeltif Abukora and Juan David Torres were our wingers, and then Carson Interlong was our starting striker. So let's go ahead and get into our best 11. I'm going to pull up the tactical board and we can get into doing that. First things first, is there someone that we are absolutely banging the table for, saying we have to have this guy on the team?
Okay. Clearly for me, Taylor Davila
Yes.
in the central midfield has to be included. I voted for him for MVP. I suspect you might have as well.
I did.
And I also do want to answer the criticism of these all-league teams. It's a regular season award. Louisville City lost one game in the regular season. Like, I don't know. Put two and two together, people. That was the best team maybe in the history of the USL regular season ever. And Davila was at the core of everything that team did right. Some of the counting stats were down year over year, but for me, the performance overall was better in terms of the positioning, the way he set the table as a passer. He's an unbelievable player. He should get a move to MLS. It's criminal that he hasn't already. But yeah, I mean, he's the best player in the entire USL ecosystem in 2025.
He was my MVP vote. Yeah, so I completely agree. He is on my, people can't see this, but I have a lot of notes of players and stuff. He was my first name written down. So yes, Taylor Davila, absolutely. Probably not going to be our DM. He's probably going to be somewhere in central midfield, but right now he's just going to be at the base of the midfield.
We're married to the 4-3-3. Is that the?
No. We can have three center backs. I mean, if you remember last year, our final was a 4-4-2 diamond because we didn't feel like there was any wide midfielders who deserved it. So,
because I'd love a 3-4-3, but that's just me. No.
Like twice a lose mentally, yeah.
I think can we start maybe and maybe this is my brain, but like, should we just start at keeper and just argue our way forward?
Sure. Let's do it. Okay.
Because I've got no argument with Davila. Like, I don't know if anyone else does, but yeah, I mean, you're not going to get me.
He's the least contestable guy, period.
Yeah. Bottom line.
I have 4 names that I have listed.
I think there's only one, and this is going to sound, people are going to be like, oh, it's recency bias or whatever. It's Eric Dick. But yeah, 15 clean sheets. Like, the man was like potentially unbeatable on a team that wasn't even good until the second half of the season. So yeah, for me it's Dick.
How do you weigh the playoffs as big? Because I think Kaler is going to come in with maybe the guy I'm leaning towards.
I have 4 names, 2 League 1, 2 Championship, and I'm really leaning Vidiello or Vegas.
Okay, I had Vidiello. The advanced stats there are remarkable. as 2025 as a body of work, he had a better overall season than Eric Dick. I think there is an argument to be made in League One for Carlos Merancio sticking in.
Merancio was one of my League One. The other one was Lewis, but Merancio and Vidiello were my two that I wanted.
Does Sean Lewis not get into the conversation?
Yes and no. Sean Lewis is.
Or are we just saying he had the best defense in League One in front of him?
We'll get to the reason I like one Knox when we get to the center backs. How about that?
No, and that's fair. I'm just being provocative. Don't mind me.
It gets the people going.
Yeah.
So what are we? My vote is going to go. I want to have a championship in a League One. I want to go Vidiello or Merancio.
Okay. I think it's Merancio because you think about that Spokane run, and he was great all season, but then you think about Spokane in the playoffs, it's him in those penalty shootouts that's making the difference for them. So you get kind of the Eric Dick argument. You get some of the Vidiello of that whole body of work, but then you're also representing League One from somebody who was really terrific in his own right. So Merancio would be my pick here.
I'm okay with him.
Okay. I can back Merancio then.
Okay. I will go ahead and write that down. This is where I'm going to have to just accept that I'm going to spell somebody's name wrong.
You got it. It's small.
Yeah.
And
it's fine. Nobody can read it. It's fine. All right. So let's go to center backs. And I have a lot of names, but the USL League One Defender of the Year was rightfully Jordan Skelton. He's an easy pick in there for me.
What are we thinking about Sean Suber? Again, I know
I would have voted for him for Defender of the Year.
Distribution and defending, like elite.
Suber was in my list.
Okay, so I like both of them. I will say, and I don't know if this is just me and my hipster nature saying, actually, Sivert Hoagley was better than Skelton. I do just want to shout out Sivert Hoagley as somebody who was really terrific throughout the year. I am happy to include Jordan Skelton. The name I want to throw two names in there, I think.
I think Breck Evans is getting lost to the shuffle in all of this.
Hey, Jake Dengler. Both of those Maple guys.
Jake Dengler's on my list.
Okay.
Jake Dengler's on my list.
I want to throw out the Josh Jones argument, and I'm not going to say we throw him in because he only played half the season as a starter. If you prorate that over 30 games, he's the best defender in the league by a mile for me. You add in the long throws, and there's kind of not an area you can nitpick. So in the same mold of right-sided center back, David Garcia from Spokane, another one I really thought had a terrific year. Maybe don't want to double on Spokane given what we did in goal, but somebody who deserves a shout out there. So I'm happy with Skelton and happy with Suber. The argument then becomes, are we actually doing three center backs?
I have another name.
It is a league that someone put it in the chat.
John Fuller in the chat with the intelligent comment. This is a back three league these days.
Everybody plays in the back three. So
yeah, I have another name to throw out there. Owusu from Union Omaha.
By the way, I think Kyle Adams actually won Defender of the Year, and we just didn't mention that.
Did he? Yeah. No, he did. He did. You're right. He wasn't. Yeah.
I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to say a name, and this is partially to buy myself some credit and to, again, be provocative. What do we think about the name Talon Maples?
He's on my list. He's here for me.
There were two
far be it from me to promote a New Mexico United player, but I mean, lots of goals, solid. I don't want to say anything too intense about Kalen Ryden, and I wish him the best in retirement. And I think maybe Maples like carried some water for Ryden over the season.
But if you think about what did New Mexico do well, in no sense was it the defending. And I want to.
That's true. That's also true.
I mean, I would go up the table in the West. Why not a Lamar Batista? Why not an AB Sissoko? If we're choosing a center back from that part of the world, as Phil is deeply out of focus.
What's happening? I mentioned in New Mexico United player, and they're canceling me.
So I will say AB Sissoko was my vote for Defender of the Year. When I put in my vote, he was mine. And he kind of got displaced by Ian. But at that point, when I placed my vote, I didn't know if Ian was like a temporary thing or if he was going to take his place.
I think Sissoko was just hurt at that point, which...
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why my vote went to AB Sissoko. He was my Defender of the Year personally.
Do we have room for Batista in your heart?
I mean, he was our center back pairing in the first half. I'm okay with that.
So is a back three Batista, Skelton, Suber? Is that agreeable?
That's what I would back that.
Yeah, I think Batista belongs in there.
Okay. We're doing things. We're getting there.
Moves. I would argue that center back is probably comfortably the strongest position group in the league this year. So many guys brilliant in the 2025 season.
The only one that I wrote down more names for than center back was fullback, and it's because I can't decide if I want a defending fullback or an attacking fullback. I don't know what I want in my life.
With the way that managers run in USL, you can get pretty liberal about what you call a fullback or a wingback or whatever. Yeah. Like there are a lot of wingers that are playing wingback.
Yeah. So let's go to fullback / wingback if we're going to have those. If we just want to skip over those, we can. I have last time it was oh my gosh, it was Tingy and it was Waldeck. McFadden was in there, Gurr was in there, Quinn was in there. I have a fun name that I want to throw out there, and it is Sebastian Anderson from Hartford.
He's a good honorable mention. Yeah.
I'm going to offset my New Mexico thing by saying Gabby Torres. Just throwing that.
Is he a fullback or is he like a weird center mid who just kind of goes wide occasionally?
Listen, I will answer that question the second that Wilmer Cabrera can answer that question.
He's got plenty of time to figure it out at this point, I guess.
Yeah. No, he played on the left side. Again, I'm being as liberal as anybody else with the definition of wingback, but no, I just was throwing in there.
If we're talking about which left-sided fullback this season was the most impactful, Charlie Hostrom got 10 assists for Union Omaha. To me, he was as important as any player towards that late season run that really had them looking great at the end of the year. He feels like the guy that locked down that left side more than anyone else in the USL for me.
Ryan, I saw you on mute, so you go first.
Go ahead.
I almost want to skip past fullback so we can figure out if we want to do like wingers or midfield, like wide midfielders or what.
We're doing two fullbacks.
We're doing two fullbacks.
Okay. Positional purist in me is like we're doing 2
5-2-3 maybe.
Okay.
So, 4-4. It would be a 3-4-3.
Fullbacks, wingbacks. It's split.
It's a 3-4-3.
3-4-3. Yeah.
So I'm going to.
Both teams played it in the final, so we are fully within our rights to make the team of the year. 3-4-3.
Right.
I'm going to throw out 2 names. I'm going to throw out Gurr, and I am going to throw out Messer.
Okay.
Well, Gurr is on the right. So
Gurr would be on the right.
yeah.
Right. Yes.
So we haven't
Those are my
had
two names.
that.
Like those are my two fullbacks.
We haven't had that argument yet.
So let's focus Messer versus. I threw out Ostrom. Somebody had mentioned.
I think I backed the
Torres.
Ostrom. I backed the Ostrom shout. 10 assists is just that. I mean, it's Arthur Rogers levels production, like out of the League One, so it's hard to ignore.
I mean, he led the league in assists, so I would take Ostrom.
All right, Ostrom.
And even beyond that, like the combination play with Mark Bronick, who's a young player, and the ability to kind of hold down that side, you can't say enough about what he did for that Omaha team. I think right wing back is almost harder because you've got Gurr, but Aiden McFadden was remarkable all season long.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned someone like a Sebastian Anderson who was great. There are options there. Connor Evans played half the season as a right back, but then kind of moved to center mid. What do you do with that? I don't know.
Lucky Apara was out there. He played great
Sure.
out on the right wing.
Nigro, basically the only good player on Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't think we can reward that team.
6 assists in that team is nothing short of a miracle.
This is true.
Who's kicking the ball in the net?
Like initiator, and he's like a fullback. But
Yeah.
you don't want that, but you kind of love to see it at the same time.
Yeah. Very solid player. I'd love to see him on a different team.
We also mentioned Tingy during the halfway mark, but I think he got surpassed by. Yeah, I think he got surpassed.
He fell off.
So
I'm happy to do Gurr. Like
Gurr McFadden, I'm happy with.
Are we underrepresenting Louisville? Because spoiler alert, I don't have anybody upfield that I'm going to include for that team.
I mean, McFadden was close for me.
We tossed him Davila. That's all
That's
all they're getting. Not getting anything else.
To be fair,
win a playoff game.
Teams in the first team.
I got to be honest, though. I'm kind of with you, John. McFadden was the last Louisville City player I wrote down.
I mean, I would say I don't feel strongly enough about Gurr to keep McFadden out of the team, if that makes sense.
Like I'm on the record. There probably isn't a bigger fan of what Jack Gurr does every single season. To me, McFadden was a cut above everybody on the right side. Like nothing against Jack Gurr, who was great, but McFadden was special.
Gurr, it's more of like a lifetime achievement award versus anything that he did like specifically this season.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to our other part of our midfield pairing. Now we could have a 5-3-2 possibly. It is certainly a possibility. I want to throw out just one DM option besides Malloy, who did make my list. Same thing with Connor Evans. That was a conversation for me. I thought JP Sears was fantastic.
Not all league for me.
Okay.
And dare I say he got outplayed by Jean-Eric Morceau when they brought Morceau in with a couple games to go. But seeing Skeers do what he's doing close to home rocks, and I'm happy that they gave him a nice long extension.
So do we have a DM we want to throw in?
I had Max Schneider from Omaha as well. I think we've probably filled the Omaha spot with Ostrom, but Schneider was probably the best player at that position this side of Connor Evans.
So Schneider was in there as a CM for me. I don't think of him as a defensive midfielder, but I guess that is how Omaha uses him. But he was written down for me as central midfield. Same for Micheletto, Maldonado, and Avievu.
I mean, Schneider was top 10 in USL 1 in chances created.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to go with a center mid pairing, I might fight for Maldonado a little bit. When he was on the pitch, there was not many people better.
Got benched for a stretch towards the end of the season.
Was he not?
And I think that
hurt.
A little hurt, but a little like John Bradford was experimenting and changing shapes and everything. I'm not against it because I think the reason North Carolina got into the playoffs was what Mikey Maldonado did for the first 4 months of the year, and we can't forget that. I don't know. It's a tough situation for that club generally.
I
That's
also,
fair.
I do think, and I think it, yeah, Frank is in the chat with it. Like, Avayevu is hard to define, but I think he belongs in this team.
Okay, so
somewhere.
if you, I'm gonna rationalize the formation here. Davila, in terms of how Louisville played, he would sit deep, and they basically let Kev Lambert just like push up and be a weird target guy further ahead. So if we've got him sitting deeper and we've got Avayevu in the midfield, it's better than what the USL put out for their first and second teams. Like, at least this is something approaching a formation, so we can rest our hats on that.
Okay, but if he's going to be our essentially attacking mid,
Yeah,
Avayevu, he's going to be our 10. That's leaving out a Hill. That's leaving out a Wada. That's leaving out a MD Meyer. That's leaving out a Florian Velo.
Well, we still
who
have
had
3
a shocking amount of-
attackers, of which we can be very nebulous about.
yeah. So Avayevu is just like a very offensive-minded center mid. We're saying,
yeah.
and
Okay,
is that
that's fine
dishonest?
with me.
Yes, but who cares?
And then I did just want to shout Chris Haggart too, like, for the season he had. I'm not saying that he necessarily gets in here ahead of all of those names. And I just like the season he had, the production, and Orange County, like, obviously it being a regular season award, them getting their stuff together enough to be compelling in the playoffs. Like, Haggart was at the center of a lot of that. So I do just want to shout out that he is a bit of a spine that they are now like sort of coalescing around.
We should circle back and say Ryan Dogman for left back as well was probably on the table. Just that whole axis of Haggard and Dogman was the engine for Orange County all year long. Those two were brilliant.
Okay, so now let's get to our attacking. What we're assuming is going to be a 3, but could be a 2, and we get kind of liberal on what the midfield option is. He got absolutely hosed in the end.
Yep.
Abukora is still a top
Ooh.
player for me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a different name.
Who did y'all
Me
have?
too.
Who did y'all have here?
If we're talking left side, it should have been USL League One All-Leaguer. Ollie Wright was my guy. And I will say,
That's
I
totally
straight
fair.
up voted for Robbie Mertz, and he played the left for most of the year. Like, in terms of my actual ballot, I submitted to the league. I had Mertz. So I think all 3 of those guys are in the conversation.
Yeah. No, I agree with the Abukora shout. In terms of the lads protocol, he was the one most making it not true, if that makes sense. Where it was like Loudon always does this shit and it's Abukora hitting bangers. But Robbie Mertz, like, towards the top of the charts in chances created, towards like he's got a lot of production. So tough to argue with that. And Ollie Wright, in terms of like clutch gene and Portland being a playoff team as high as they ended up being, like, that was down a lot to Ollie Wright. Like, as much as Titus Washington being like clinical for
And
them,
Wada.
like, it all stemmed from Ollie Wright's production.
And we saw that on display when we were up there.
Yeah.
Not that this is the, Jägermeister best 11, but if it were...
I will say, if we wanted to include Robbie Mertz, if you look at his expected numbers versus actual numbers, there were not many players who underperformed their expected numbers, because there was a long time where, hey, check the playoffs, where Pittsburgh just refused to score goals no matter what Robbie Mertz did. Like, he just kept putting balls on platters, and unfortunately, Augie just was not finishing the ball. Same with Jacobson. So, yes, his actual production looks bad when you look at total numbers, but if you look at what he was actually doing with the ball and the positions he was putting Pittsburgh in, it's not his fault that he can't cross and score at the same time.
Okay,
So-
so if
It's
I'm
tough. It's really tough.
Well, thinking more broadly about like how are we setting this team up? 2 wide forwards and like a classic number 9. Is that the mold we're going for? Because in that case, we can have it all. We can have Robbie Bird, Sandolly, right?
But
I will
who's
say
going to be on the
problem there
right?
is that-
Because I have someone that I think must be on the right, and it's Niall
It's-
Reed-Steven.
Me too.
Like,
I was
he-
just going to
he
make that
simply
same point. Yeah.
Must be in there.
I agree.
Just in terms of like, just to like contextualize, because I think saying the numbers out loud, like it really, it's one of those things where over the course of a whole season, you can kind of like be like, yeah, he was really great. 13 goals and 7 assists out of like in that specific Tormenta team, which took such a long time to get going. Production wise, like there basically wasn't a better player in League One.
And 13 goals, none of which were penalties, which means that he was the non-penalty Golden Boot winner in League One. As a guy who wasn't playing as their primary striker, was just a dynamo, an elite dribbler, terrific in transition. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Leaving out JD Torres is not criminal because, like, Ben Pierman also decided it wasn't criminal to leave out JD Torres down the stretch. So I just go off Ben Pierman. I will say, in terms of who was the most talented soccer player to kick a ball in the USL this year, JD Torres. He did more jaw-dropping things per 90 than anyone else. I keep saying body of work, but when you just have that stretch where you're not involved with the team and it extends into the playoffs, that feels slightly disqualifying, even though I just love watching the guy play.
He wasn't even on the 18 for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Technically extremely gifted, and might be the person who can kick the ball the hardest in the whole league. Like if it was just a straight up how hard can you kick the ball challenge, Torres is in there.
We should get rid of penalties and make that the tiebreaker.
Just how hard can you kick the ball? Just a guy with a gun down there. Just
Okay. If we're probably going to fight for a long time over the left wing. So if we're going to have a number 9, I'm going to throw out my names. I have 4 names that I just want to throw out there. Obregon, because lots of goals for a bad team. How did he score? It's crazy. Well, their thing was not scoring, it was defending. Enderlong, because he was just so good. Bonifilio just needs love because he almost won Golden Boot in Miami because, oh my God, how? And then Kalira is the other one for me.
I mean, Peter Wilson he scored a shitload of goals for a team that was bad. Like, I mean, they were obviously good down the stretch, and he was very good down the stretch. So it sort of went together. But
yes,
Golden Boot on
Peter
Oakland,
Wilson won Golden Boot. I get it. But if you were to ask me who's the better team and who has the better players around him, Peter Wilson in Oakland or Bonifilio in Miami, who gave him the ball?
Sebastian Blanco. When he was alive.
and shoot, wait, what's the other guy? The other Argentine guy.
See, you can't even think. The fact that you can't even think of another Miami player says a lot about the service there.
Yeah.
Quick,
no, you got me on that
player.
one.
You can't say Bill Hamid.
I can say Bill Hamid, and I will say Bill Hamid.
The Tampa Bay Rowdies player?
So coming into this, the 3 names I had were Taylor Calhera, Carson Henderlong, and then I had MD Myers because I think he doesn't get enough love. Calhera, he's got the goals. He was in the Golden Boot mix all year long. And then it's the everything else he did for FC Tulsa. Among the leaders in pressing takeaways, was the league leader in dual attempts, and I believe aerial dual attempts. The guy put his body on the line. He was constant work rate. He gave Tulsa an identity from week 1, and it's what took them to the championship game. I think what he did was absolutely immense for FC Tulsa, so he feels like the fit. But you could say a lot of similar things for Carson Henderlong. He was technical in transition, good in hold-up play, an elite finisher in League One. A little bit less of that very visible style than Calhera, but I think Henderlong was crucial to getting Naples to where they got in a terrific expansion season. I'd be happy with either one.
I also just don't want to look at this graphic and not have MD Meyer on it. MD Meyer's on it.
I don't know. Leave it out. Leaving out Calera feels bad.
Yes.
I don't know how else to
Really
explain
bad.
it. It doesn't feel good. Because
I mean, then I'll back
where did
Calera to be in.
Where did MD Myers finish goals wise?
15.
15. Yeah.
And look at his assist because he was so good.
Yeah, he did. He did have a really. Oh man, I don't know.
I will
Calera.
say either.
Okay.
I'll say Calera or MD Meyer.
Well, Ryan broke the tie with Calhera, so.
Okay, Calera. So this will be our second Tulsa player.
And if you look where we doubled up, which is going to be Tulsa and Louisville, that's reasonable. Like, those are two teams that deserved it.
Yeah.
They won their regular season conferences.
Enough said.
Okay. Left wing. This is I'm just going to let you guys just kind of
So
fight
what?
for your
Right,
guy.
Mertz or Abacora?
For all the nonsense that I've given Loudon this year, I've got to vote. I have to vote Abacora because I have to right my wrongs. No pun intended, because that would be Ali Wright. But anyways,
I mean, we've talked a handful of times about guys who kind of faded down the stretch. I think Abacora maybe only got one goal after July, as Loudon lost the form and then crashes out early. That means something to me.
Lads,
am I insane for saying to get as close as possible to Championship League One parity, we should go Ollie Wright?
By
the way, which one of these people was a guest on the show this year? Ollie Wright?
Yeah.
That feels like a tiebreaker to me.
That's and I think the feeling I was getting with Calera, like leaving out Calera, I'm also now getting with Ali Wright. So it will feel worse to me if we don't put him in there. So I'm voting for Ali.
Okay.
We would be remiss
I don't
not
like
to name a coach.
Oh, how do you spell?
You've been killing it with like Avayevu and all these, and then you get to write.
It's killing me. I don't. Did that spell it wrong?
I think you had it. You had it correct.
You had it correct.
Okay. I had it correct.
Yeah, HG.
Big hit.
Here.
Okay, so I was right.
Yeah.
Okay. To be fair, it's because I can sound out Avievu. Right. I can't spell it out. There's silent letters. I don't do with that. Coach of the year. I mean, it's Luke Spencer, right?
You could make the Ian Fuller argument for a team that goes undefeated at home, makes a significant leap year over year, and really grows their style in a meaningful way without making a ton of star acquisitions. That's me playing devil's advocate because Luke Spencer is also my pick. But yeah, I think Ian Fuller has a shout at a minimum.
Fuller was going to be my pick.
Or what about Scott McKenzie, by the way?
Oh, Scott McKenzie's a great shout. We just kind of forgot that Chattanooga existed. Which
I'll just give one more cell phone this year that I picked Chattanooga to finish 14th and thought they were going to be absolutely abysmal. Scott McKenzie proved me so wrong, gave that team a sense of style, proved adaptable when the injuries hit. The job he did for that team is remarkable. Like the fact that they were the second seed in USL League One on that budget is crazy.
Also was a guest on the show.
Which is always the tiebreaker.
Is just to address the fact that Danny Cruz is in the chat. He's not in the chat.
Oh my God,
Cruz
Danny,
is
welcome.
just to address the
Yeah,
fact
all
that Danny Cruz, I know you're listening. No, I to address the fact that Danny Cruz is being mentioned in the chat, I should say. The mark against Danny Cruz for Coach of the Year is that he had by far like the most resources, right? Like where, yes, he put together a remarkable season and he absolutely by a country mile had the best team.
It's the issue of what does Coach of the Year mean to you? Because in terms of being the most successful with what you're given, I mean, Danny Cruz has an argument to have done that. This team was historic. He took a collection of good players that a lesser coach wouldn't have been able to make mesh together, and he made them great. I tend to be somebody who's really into the, can you instill a new vision? Like, which coach took a group of raw parts and gave them an identity? Because we knew what Louisville was. We didn't know what Chattanooga was going to be. One Knox was starting under a new manager. Ditto for Spencer with Tulsa.
Yeah.
It's impossible to know which one of those is the right way to go. They're kind of equally valid interpretations. I don't know.
That's why Spencer,
there are 4 or 5 good picks, right?
Spencer feels like the vote for me just because it's like, when you look at that Tulsa roster and how it was constructed, I've talked about it before, but it wasn't obvious that this collection of players would be the best team in the West. Like, and they ended up not only like being the best team in the West, but comfortably being the best team in the West and navigating the playoff. Like, there's just a lot there. That felt like it took a lot of like good work from Spencer to get to.
From what we have kind of understood as being a bottom 5 team in the league in terms of budget spent on their team. Like, that is a bottom 5 budgeted team in the league, and they just hosted the USL Final. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned it on Soccer Down Here. If you told somebody Tulsa is hosting the USL Final, you assumed every other team in the West died. They were the 1 seed. But also, Scott McKenzie had what we thought was the worst team to ever grace League One, finishing within 1 game of winning the Player Shield.
And
we also hadn't seen, in our defense, we hadn't seen Texoma yet. So, like,
this is true.
And they're not coaches I would name as my personal coach of the year, but we should at least also kind of shout out if we're going to go with John's vision of like being able to turn around at least a season, Candela and McKeever as well in League One, turning those 2 teams back into playoff sides from where they started the year or where they took over is at least a noteworthy mention. But no, I wouldn't name them as my coach of the year. I just thought they were worthy of at least having a nomination.
It's the Josh Jones issue in defense where like, you give those guys a whole season and it's a different story, but yeah, deserving of a shout, but not up for the award.
Okay, so are we going Luke Spencer or are we going McKeever? Not McKeever, McKenzie.
I would pick Spencer.
Yeah, I think Luke Spencer, because he got them over the line, they won the conference, etc.
I do love the idea of giving it to McKeever this year, just because like that would be crazy.
I mean, what I will say is Tormenta down the stretch looked like they could genuinely be a title contender. Like, full credit to him for an immense job.
Okay, so I want to go back to front. In goal, Marinaccio. Then with our 3 center backs, because of course we do, Bautista, Skelton, and Suber. Wing backs, we have Ostrom on the left, McFadden on the right, Davila in the midfield, Ovievu, his attacking side of the central mid. Left wing, Ollie right wing, Reed Stevens, and at top, Taylor Calera. Are we happy with this? Like, I know we're an hour 20 into this, so we kind of have to be, but is there like a I'm second guessing this.
It's like, well, as somebody who likes the realism aspect that we strive for, I do recognize that the central midfield is a little bit suspect, but I'm willing to go with it because I thought Avievu and Davila were that good.
I would say, I mean, in terms of the help they would get on the wings as well, like covering space.
Well,
I feel like
you've got Batista and Suber, the athleticism behind them. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's backup here, I think.
I just don't like
I'm
looking
okay.
this without MD Meyer. I just don't like seeing MD Meyer left off this. I know there's nowhere else to really put him over unless we took out Ovievu and put MD Meyer. I think that'd be my only conversation.
At central mid?
I like a central mid, attacking mid, yeah.
Davila
The
by
thing
himself.
about Myers is like striker leaning and Avievu like a little bit more 8 leaning. So I think we have to go with this setup. But I
mean, tell Paul Modicad that he's 8 leaning. They had him running as the 9 for like 3 months.
End of the year, only at the end of the season. They switched formations with like 2 weeks left, and it somehow worked. But
yeah, 3 months was a stretch. But you knew it.
Yeah, there weren't of the 2 Western Conference teams that tried random people at false 9. Phoenix has been a lot better than El Paso's. So, yeah.
So we're just going to go with this. We're going to roll with this one. That is fine with me. It's a good team. It's a dang good team. So here. I'm happy with it.
Luke Spencer could take this team all the way. So easily.
He would randomly switch it to a 4-4-2 for no good reason and just go back to this, which is great. So
this team beats DC United in the Open Cup.
Can we put Christian Benteke on this team? Are we talking about USL legend Christian Benteke coming up next year?
Benteke to Charleston, book it.
Oh man,
didn't Benteke's brother play for Loudoun at one point? Wasn't that a thing?
It's very possible
because I know Pogba's brother played for Atlanta United too, and that was a thing.
He did for 5 games. That is a great pull, Kaler.
Unreal pull. Jonathan Benteke. He's
currently playing in Azerbaijan, which is even better.
Shamaki in the Azerbaijan Premier League. Amazing.
That's also Pogba's other brother. It's a video I think about all the time of Pogba's brother doing the ransom video in a Memphis 901 kit. Like that is up there for me in like all-time USL lore moments.
That's so insane. Oh my god. It just like unlocked a whole part of my brain I forgot existed.
And do we have anything else? Because we were going to talk about best available free agents. We're not doing that this week.
We talked about talking about Super League too, by the way, but look at the time.
We did. That's not happening. Lexington's good. That's for Michael Fuchs in the chat. Except maybe the Sun are coming back, but we'll talk about that next week. Next week will be a ton of Super League chat, any news that comes up, and the best free agents still available. There's going to be a lot to talk about that. Any final USL thoughts for you guys?
Quick shout. I know we'll dig into off season as it goes along, but the Rowdies are serious. Like Leland Archer in, Micheletto in, Russell Cicerone in. We've heard behind the scenes that they've got plenty more coming. So yeah, shout out to Tampa Bay for giving Dom the tools he needs in his first full season there.
They can't stand being down there for too long.
And I'm not going to think too hard about the fact that former Locomotive assistant is moving mad like this after 2 League One championships. So
at least you guys have a very settled coaching situation.
Yeah. It's not like we're in the market for one or anything. Like, if only there were
Locomotive or Penn State get a coach first.
I was hoping for Lane Kiffin, but that apparently is down the drain. So
Robert Lilly, you are a locomotive.
Oh my god. honestly, at this point, I'd be here for it. That would be hilarious. He'd fit with their budget approach of shrug.
Nothing. Seriously, Loco trying to talk to Bob Lilly. Give me big money to try to see that.
Twitch plays El Paso Locomotive.
Can't even picture that.
Any other USL thoughts? All right. How about some final thoughts for the night? Ryan.
Yeah, so I said last year that I had an advent calendar that was Star Wars holiday themed socks, and I at least want to shout out my mom this year. She was very thoughtful in her advent calendar for me, which was just 24 like individually wrapped bags of just like assorted items. So I got like Lego minifigures on the first day. I haven't opened up day 2's item, but I just wanted to share my appreciation that the effort she went to for making like 24 just like assorted items of I guess for advent calendars.
That's awesome.
That's legit.
John, what you got?
Boy, I've been spending so much time reading random tweets about Lane Kiffin. Like, it's probably unhealthy for me. I just find everything about it very funny. I don't know if he actually left his dog in Mississippi, but that was the rumor.
Apparently that wasn't his dog. That was just a dog that was given to him from the university, so they took it back.
Folks, if you aren't following college football, you are missing out. That's all I'm going to say.
It's plane tracking season.
Yeah.
It simply just means more. You wouldn't understand. Phil.
This past weekend I went with my wife and my mother-in-law and saw Wicked 2, aka Wicked for Good. Having not had the Wicked context, like I never saw the stage play prior to seeing the movies. Second part, music's not as good. Story felt kind of insane at points where I was like, why is any of this happening? And I know it's the Wizard of Oz, but like, can we ground any of this? I don't know. It just felt very strange. And the whole time, all I could think is I really wish I was watching Knives Out right now. And I have not seen it, which I'm upset about. And I will likely not see it until it comes out on streaming. And so everybody just please don't spoil the movie for me, because I really need to see that. And I've only heard good things. My sister saw it. So
it's only shown in like 2 theaters in New York City. That's how you know like Netflix is not doing the job they need to be doing here.
That's wild. Yeah, don't understand that at all. But yeah, so that was my movie viewing, and I was out sort of in your neck of the woods, John. By that I mean Westchester for Thanksgiving. So Italians are good at a lot of things food wise. Turkey, not one of them, unfortunately. I really got to give my wife's family some more pointers. It was chalk. It was really just overcooked. So not to out them like this, but it that was tough.
My wife's family does a great turkey. I only recently started liking Thanksgiving food because I think I've sold this on here before, maybe not. For me, this is going to shock a lot of people. My family is super Southern and redneck. Like they live out in the middle. Yeah. So like they live out
in Alabama.
Yeah. And none of my family growing up had like teeth, like legit, like no teeth. So all the veggies were like baby food soft. So I just thought that's what Thanksgiving was. I thought everybody's experience was like that. Turns out that's not true. And I had like, when I first started dating my wife, we had like real Thanksgiving food. And I was like, oh my God, this is what everybody talks about. I just thought everybody liked freaking Gerber music, like food. I was like, what is this? But Yeah, finally finished up the turkey and ham that was sent home with us. I put it in everything. I'd do anything to not make it a turkey sandwich. So it's like in all of our collards, all of our black eyed peas, everything I can throw a meat in there to like make it taste a little bit better. The turkey and ham all went in there. And also I've just been kind of reliving the Tulsa trip in of itself, just kind of constantly. It was just so much fun to be around all those people. It was just a blast, and the people of Pittsburgh were wonderful. The people of Tulsa were amazing. So just kind of been reliving that, and hopefully my wife is not upset with me that she had to be in a car with me for 11 and a half hours. So it's fine. But any other thoughts? We good? We wonderful? All right. We will be back next week. Kids season had an interview drop, which was really interesting. So if you want to hear people who went like the company that worked with Barcelona and now is with San Francisco City, find out their growth, their story. Kids season did a great interview with them. Check that out. But that's about it for us. So we'll see you next week. And for the first and final time tonight, here's Alan's voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see everyone again next time.